Hello and welcome. My name is Derek, and today we are talking about a special rifle kit that we have at youroptic.com.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so what we have is an Armalite M15 TAC-20 paired with a Vortex Gen 2 PST 2-10. And we will start with the barrel on the rifle. It is a 20-inch 5.56 chamber with a 7 twist. It is stainless steel and it is black nitride coated. It does come with this muzzle brake at the end of it. I do like a particular little detail on it here. It does have a series of ports on the top right side of the brake that vents just enough gas to compensate for a right-handed shot, so it pushes the rifle kind of low and left to compensate for your tendency to recoil up and right. Moving back, we see a pretty nice feature to see standard on a rifle like this. It is a gas block that you can tune. So you take your little Allen key in here and you can open and close the gas ports and you can fine tune it, so if you're shooting different types of ammo or if you're shooting suppressed, you can really get that dialed in. Moving to the handguard, it is a free-floated 15-inch version here. It does have Picatinny rail on top, and it has a whole bunch of M-locks for all your M-lock paraphernalia. And moving back to the receiver, it is pretty standard AR-15 business here, so nothing too special. Everything is where it should be. I do like how you get a Radian Raptor charging handle, which is ambidextrous. Moving to the trigger, get this out here. It is a 2-stage precision trigger. The take up and all that is very smooth, but I will say it's a little bit on the heavy side. Now, I don't have an official weight for this trigger, but I was able to hold the rifle like this without the scope and bipod and rest it on its trigger, which would lead me to think that this is about that 7 or 8 pound variety. So as such, I'd say at some point down the line, if you do end up getting one of these, it is worth it to save up for a Geissele. I am really on board with them. I worship at the altar of Geissele, so I would say either an SSA or an SSAE would be a good match for this, because remember kids, Geissele is only. The grip is a Magpul MOE Plus, so it's the same typical Magpul that you've seen before. It does have a nice rubberized texture to it, so it is a bit nicer than your standard synthetic one. Up top, we do see some more Magpul in terms of the sights, front and back. Nothing crazy, just your standard Magpul backups. The stock is a Luth AR MBA-1, so it's very solid. You do have some adjustability for the comb height here and the length of pull here. And you can set the length of pull to somewhere about 14 to 15 inches or so. So that's the quick and nasty for the rifle itself. Now, I want to briefly touch on this scope. Now, what we've basically built here is pretty much an SPR. Not quite going to call it a Mark 12 because it's not, but it does have the same sort of design goals with it. So it is a light-ish weight rifle with a compact scope that's still able to get you out to those distances of 700 to 800 yards. And that's where this PST comes in. I personally own 2 of these, one of which is on my own Mark 12 SPR, and I can assure you it is capable to get you to 800 yards. It is also nice for your closer range shots as well. The field of view, especially at 2 power, is just massive. Looking through this optic, you get a nice big image, very flat field. And even though it's first focal plane, that reticle is still very nice to see. It's very easy to use, because if you're at 2 power, you're not going to be shooting that far. So all you really need to see is just the basic crosshair, which you can with this. One thing that I have done with my 2-10 PST Gen 2 is that I have gone predator hunting with it. And sometimes those shots can be 30 yards, sometimes they can be 200, really depends on where you're going. So this whole system could be pretty potent for predator hunting as well. The turrets have a very nice positive click feel to them, and this being a Gen 2 PST, it uses the zero stop from one of the Razor scopes. Now, if you want to learn more about the zero stop setting on these, I do advise checking out a video that we'll put right here. It's Vortex's own video that they put out for setting the zero stop system on these scopes. Definitely worth checking out before you go to the range. But the main reason I like this scope is that it's not huge. I mean, it's a 32mm objective. You can barely even notice that the objective is bigger than the tube here. At 10x, it looks great during the day, and if you do need to use this in low light, I'll just back off the power just a little bit and you'd still get some really good performance. Also, as part of this special that we're running with this rifle kit, it will come with this mount, which is the Vortex CM-202. It's the proper height to clear a rear iron sight, such as the Magpul on this rifle. It's about 1.5 inches tall or thereabouts, and it has 0 MOA built into it, which might be a worry in normal situations, but with this, I've done the calculations, I've looked at the ballistics, and if you are shooting a match grade round like a 75 or a 77 grain, this will actually get you to about 900 yards or so before you run out of turret, which is fine. 223 at that distance is a bit of a prayer, but you would not need a 20 MOA to maximize the generally accepted maximum range for a 223. Okay, lastly, I want to talk about some bipods. Now, it's not going to be part of the kit, but I figured it was worth talking about for a little bit. Here we have an Atlas BT65, it's one of my favorite bipods that you can get right now, and it's attached to the M-LOK with the Atlas BT70 mounting system. So it's just a little bit more lower profile than if you were to go with a Picatinny rail or something like that. So if you plan on leaving the bipod on the rifle for a long time, this is a good way to do it. And if you do want to use a bipod that you can take off and move to a different rifle, I would get the BT65 LW17. That is the one that goes onto a Picatinny rail with the quick detach. They also make a BT65 that has a Picatinny attachment that you have to use a Torx key to put on. It's not bad, but it can be rather annoying, so I'd say it's worth the 60 bucks. Just go with the quick detach and you'll be much better off in the future. But this one here, not as easy to take off. You do have to remove this pod lock system to access this M-LOK screw. So it's mildly annoying. If it's gonna stay on the weapon, this is a good way to do it. All the bipods and parts that I'm mentioning here, we will link down below so you can check them out. Option 2 is a Harris, which the ones that we have these days you can get with a Picatinny rail mount that's already fitted, and it'll have this wheel on the back that is much easier to use than the previous Harrises that had just a little knurled knob on the back of it. Those you would have to get the pod lock kit, which looks like this, to be able to control the tension on the swivel here. But this one comes out of the box pretty much ready to go. So you'll just need to get a Picatinny rail adapter that goes to M-LOK, which there are companies that we carry, Cadex, Atlas, and Air Attack. All three of those companies make little Picatinny rail sections that'll go to the M-LOK that you can attach your bipod to. Now, one more thing I want to mention when it comes to bipods, and you might have noticed this earlier in the video, is with the included 30-round mag, the bipod isn't as effective to use in this orientation. So I'd say it's worth to stock up on a couple 10, 15, 20 round mags as well to make sure that it's not going to interfere. You can, of course, lengthen the legs, but it's still less ideal if you don't need it to be that tall. Just run the bipod collapsed and run a smaller mag. So that will wrap up this rifle kit that we are doing here. If you have any questions on it further, please give us a call, but also if you like the rifle and you might want to go with a different optic, it may not be part of the kit, but give us a call, let us know what you're after, and we can see what we can do for you. So to wrap it up, I'd say this is a very well-rounded rifle system, 20-inch barrel 223, very capable of some long-range shooting or hunting, and in a platform that's relatively lightweight. And because we're doing this as a kit, you will save a lot of money as well. That'll wrap it up. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe. Also check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you next time.